Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulil Kareem. Assalamu alaikum. So, to tell you the truth, I wasn't completely prepared today. I didn't prepare. A lot of things have been going on in me and my family's lives, so I wrote some stuff down, so hopefully I'll wing it and I don't bore you guys too much. I'll try to be as fast as I can. First off, I wanted to welcome everyone to the dinner. It's been 2 years since we actually had a dinner, so I want to welcome everyone. As the Mayor of Morton Grove, Mayor DeMaria, I want to welcome him and his Morton Grove office. I want to welcome the village of Skokie. And even though I'm Indian, I can't pronounce his last name properly, but I want to welcome Senator Ram. I won't pronounce the last name. This will be my last fundraising dinner serving as president. I wish I could have done more. I think every president probably wishes that, but I think that the MCC has been going on for 50 years, so the next administration will continue the good things that MCC does and hopefully change it and make things better that they can improve on. I wanted to thank our board members, our executives, and especially our committees. We have over 30 committees. They are the backbone of MCC. They are the reason why everything gets done in our masjid. I want to specifically thank our finance team, who worked very hard the last 2 years. You don't get a shout out to the finance team usually in dinners, but Bashir Uncle, Amir, Kashif, who's not here, Tahir Ali, Sister Adina, they basically held our masjid down while we were closed for COVID. So, we get our donations every Friday or during the month of Ramadan, but they found new ways to get donations online, different ways to raise funds while we were closed. And they worked with the government, with the PPP loans, all forgivable, no interest. And we were able to keep our employees, keep our staff without losing a beat. And when we opened up, it's like we didn't even skip a beat. I want to give you a quick rundown of a few things, just 4 highlights, and then some of our accomplishments in the last 4 years, and then about some of the things that we're moving forward to. In 2018, we opened up the MCC Academy High School. Inshallah, this spring, is going to be our first graduating class. I wanted to thank the Village of Morton Grove for allowing the special use for the high school. Wanted to thank the staff of MCC Academy for doing all the work to open up this high school, but most importantly, the parents and the students that, essentially, just like we started 30 years ago at MCC Academy, they were kind of like guinea pigs. And inshallah, they are the first group that will continue on for many, many years for this high school. In 2019, we were right here celebrating our 50th anniversary. Honestly, that was probably the most fun day I had as being president, because we got to see so many people from the past 50 years that came to Chicago from out of town, from the suburbs, just to enjoy the day and reminisce about the past 50 years. That same year, we opened up an endowment for MCC and MCC Academy, and although we started off with nothing, and I just checked the bank account, we have $1.6 million in our endowment. The endowment is all in one of our sponsors, Amana Funds. We created 2 youth rooms at MCC and MEC. MEC was before the COVID-19, but MCC during the pandemic, we opened up a youth room. If anyone has a chance to go to MCC for Friday prayers, for a party, or whatever, for prayers, please go check out our youth room. It looks unbelievable. The people at MEC will be jealous of it. 2020 will always be remembered for COVID-19. We closed in March, we opened again in June, I think we closed again in November, and like Amjad was saying, it was very hard for us to do because 50% of the people wanted us to close, 50% wanted us to stay open, some of our elders wanted to die in the masjid, but they would call me constantly, and then 5 minutes later, their sons and daughters would call me saying, keep the masjid closed. Then the elders would call me and say, no, we want to keep the masjid open. So it was a battle, but alhamdulillah, the point was that we wanted to keep our community safe. And even with that being said, it still was very hard. But even though we were closed, we still distributed zakat to the needy. We delivered iftar in Ramadan for the last 2 years to 40 needy families every single day. We had a group of volunteers that would drive all over the city just to give iftar to needy families. Our youth delivered groceries when the elderly couldn't go out, when we were scared what was going to happen during COVID-19. We were able to get all our employees, our imams, vaccinated in January when the vaccines first came out. We worked with CRGC and the City of Chicago, also with the Cook County Department of Health. We were one of the first non-clinics, hospitals, or pharmacies to be able to administer the vaccine because we were aiming at our minority communities. So just the future, I don't have anything on the horizon. I'm leaving in a couple months. But I just wanted everyone to note that MCC Elston is a historic location. And right now, there is a potential to buy property right next to MCC. If you ever go, there used to be the reading room, but there's a property right across the street. Now, if we want MCC to be a welcoming place, people that don't want to go to MCC, the one thing they always complain about is parking. So we have this potential to buy this land that we can potentially make into a parking lot. Now, depending on the response that we get here, this is something that we can move forward to. It costs $2.2 million, but we do believe we can give a better offer and get it for a lot cheaper. So as you think about fundraising, Azam is going to get up here and fundraise. For the record, Azam helped fundraise about $2.2 million yesterday for ICN, so I'll be happy with half of that. But MCC is a historical location. I know a lot of people here are more, we're in Skokie and we are pretty close to Morton Grove, but MCC Elston is a historical location. It is a place where over 1,000 people come every Friday for prayers. It is a place where hundreds of kids are educated on the weekends, on Saturday and Sunday for Sunday school for the past 40 years. It is a place where Burmese, Syrian, and Iraqi refugees were vaccinated in April. It is a place where we had a coat drive and we gave over 1,000 coats to the needy as winter approaches. And once again, as Amjad said, Peter Inn provided 200 meals, and I've just been following what our Zakat and Rehab group does. And I swear to God, Peter Inn, who is our sponsors, they probably have given over 1,000 meals in the last year. It is a place, MCC Elston is a place where Zakat, one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and I mentioned that because a lot of us, we always talk about prayer and fasting in the month of Ramadan because that's what we think when we think of masjid, but it's a place where we distribute over $250,000 to actual people every single year from your Zakat contributions. It is a place where converts meet and have their classes to learn about Islam. It is a place where Latino Muslims gather to build a sense of community. And more recently, it's a youth center where kids are coming in to study, to work on their homework, play ping pong, play video games. And finally, MCC Elston is a place where a lot of us will go to be our last place before we are buried by our family members, because it is probably the only place in the city of Chicago that has a Muslim funeral home. On that note, I wanted to take a moment and mention a few of our brothers that have passed away in the last 2 or 3 years. One is Brother Sayyid Abdul Majid. I know many of you guys know that, but a lot of the younger people probably have seen him outside of MEC during Jummah collecting donations. But he was a past president in the 1970s. And for the last 30 years, he was a big advocate of MCC Academy, serving as a council member and also just being a big proponent for it. That's why he was always sitting there holding donation boxes every Friday. Brother Jamil Khurshid, he just passed away a couple days ago. May Allah subhanahu grant him Jannah for those. I didn't know him that well, but I just found out from some of our elders in the 1980s, he led Tarawih prayer at MCC. He's the one that started the iftar dinners at MCC. And someone was telling me that people would come from miles away just to hear his dua on the 27th night. Abbas Yanko, I just found out from his son, tomorrow will be a year anniversary since he passed away. And he was our board member, he was our current board member at the time when he passed away, and he passed away of COVID. Abbas Yanko was a staple at these dinners. You would see him walking around all the time. He was a staple at our food and fun fairs, and obviously, as I said, he was a board member, a big advocate for MCC. He had his pins and carried his folders and wore his MCC shirts. Abdul Ghazi uncle, he passed away a few months ago. There's not one weekend school that probably does not use his book through ICRA that him, his wife, and his family, the ICRA Foundation, they started off. I know MCC Sunday School, I believe they still use their curriculum, or they did for many, many years. Last but not least, on Friday, we had the Janazah prayer of ex-President Muhammad Ali Muddin. He passed away after a long battle of cancer. He was a president from 2009 to 2013. MCC was going through a lot of administrative issues for a few years prior to that, but he was the right calming presence to come to MCC and kind of settle things down administratively, as well as in the masjid. This is personal to me because all of these brothers, I know their children, and a lot of you guys know their children, know their family, know their wives, and I grew up with them. I grew up and going to their homes, and I hope that at the end of the night we all do dua for them, and hopefully, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants them a place in Jannah for those. I wanted to introduce our sister, Khadija Ahmed. As Amjad mentioned, she's our vice president for the stage for a few remarks. She's right here. But before I do, I want to say, as you hear her speak, think of her as a representation of all the sisters and the volunteers that volunteer their time and resources for this community. Not only does she work full-time, she's a wife, a mom of 2 kids, she's taking care of her parents, and she recently moved 40 miles north of here, but she still makes time for MCC. For the past 4 years, I can honestly say that our sisters are the keys to this masjid's success. They keep our masjid united. Brothers, we tend to bicker a lot, and including myself, we worry about a lot of things, but the sisters are the ones that actually keep our masjid and hold it down and keep our community together. Because of our sisters, we are having this dinner tonight after 2 years of being stuck at home. Because of our sisters, we get our community together at Eid, at the Forest Preserve, or at Niles West High School. I'm not going to mention their names because I think a lot of you know who they are. Because of our sisters, our Zakat and Rehab program distribute over $300,000 a year to the needy. And we've been asked by other masajids to implement our system to their masjid. Another one of our sisters and her family are the largest donors to our Zakat program. Because of our sisters, we're able to get a $75,000 grant from the Census Bureau so we can get our community counted for the 2020 census. Shams Jafaranti, who passed away in 2019, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant her with Jannah for those. She taught at Sunday school for many years, but she was also one of the biggest donors of our big expense projects. When we go to MCC every night and you hear Qari Arshad recite beautifully every night, she donated an audiovisual system right before she passed. Our sisters run all the youth initiatives at MCC, and one of our sisters donated to the youth coordinators. One of our sisters is constantly helping with building maintenance at MEC, as she runs around the city to get work done. During Ramadan and the first year of COVID, Interfaith and Outreach, which is primarily run by sisters, brought in national speakers to have Zoom lectures, family socials, fall fest, women's programming, food and fun fair, and other programs bring in our families and youth, and they're all organized by sisters. Lastly, there's a fundraising dinner, so hopefully everyone opens up their pocketbooks, but I want to mention a couple things. There's 2 sisters, a sister passed away 2 years ago. In her will, she earmarked $145,000 from her inheritance. And this sister hardly stepped foot in MCC. In the past 4 years as presidents, I only know 2 people that put in their will to have some of their will go to MCC, and both of those people were sisters. So just think about that for a second. This is the heart of the community. I know the brothers, we do a lot of work, but the sisters are the ones that keep our community united. They're the ones that do the programs that bring everybody together. So the MCC should be proud and appreciative of all the work the sisters put in. And as president, I'm very happy to see this happening. And it also kind of makes me ashamed a little bit because I wish I had the social capital to do this. So as Sister Khadija gets up here, I want you to please remember, as she's speaking, all the other sisters that are in our community that are here today that have done so much work to keep our community together. Once again, I want to thank all of you for all your support. Even though you guys probably have disagreed with many things that we've done over the last 4 years, I appreciate the support and still coming to the MCC, even though you might have been mad at some of the things that we've done. But please be generous tonight, and please, please continue supporting the MCC. Without further ado, Sister Khadija Ahmed.